How did the farm and the artist retreat come about? What led to that?
That was a surprise. My husband Bill and I had a loft in downtown Minneapolis, and we were and had a very urban life. He would bike to work every day, I'd walk to work every day. We loved it. Minneapolis is a wonderful city, and we were craving nature and some spaces to gather friends and have some kind of more intimate time together. Minnesota is a very lake cabin culture. We are land of 10,000 lakes. And while the lakes are lovely, we were craving space and land. And part of this may come from my own upbringing. And I think that we thought we were going to buy some land and build. We started down in Pepin on St. Croix and worked our way up the driftless zone, which is really beautiful, bucolic rolling hills. And after putting an offer in on 3 or 4 places, we ended up here at this farm, mostly because we just wanted to see this incredible barn that's in great shape. Literally, we drove on the property in the driveway, and it took both of our breath away. There was something energetically that was just like, this place. And we walked around just kind of buzzing. I mean, logistically, it makes no sense. It was all overgrown. Every building needed to be repaired. But this place just called us, and we bought it and started renovating the farmhouse the first year. And then the next year we went into the barn. The barn is about 2,500 square feet. It was finished in 1914 at the beginning of the war. It's built out of California redwood, which makes no sense here in central western Wisconsin. It is a beautiful church-like space. And the more that we were in there, we just felt like something's got to happen here. Something centered around community, healing community. Both of us have been big art supporters over the years on many boards. I'm an artist in several ways. And so we thought, let's just experiment. We invited 4 artists, a director, an actress, a composer, and a poet. They stayed for 3 or 4 days. They wrote a piece. We had maybe 30 friends show up, and we had this extraordinary evening in the barn. And I will never forget, we walked out of the barn at the end of the evening and stood on the edge of this field, and it was covered in fireflies. Our jaws were just dropped, but it kind of felt like Everwood was saying, yes, yes. And so we thought, all right, was this good for us? Yes. Was it good for the artist? Yes. Was it good for the audience? Yep. Felt like it was good for Everwood. Let's try it again. And so we kept prototyping and testing and sharpening for about 2.5 years until we knew what it wanted to be. And evidently it wanted to be an arts nonprofit. And so I did the brand work that I usually did for others, business strategy for ourselves, mission, vision, values. We created a board. We knew what our pursuits were going to be. And over the course of the first 10 years, started the artist performances, our artist series, until that was humming. Half of all of our proceeds go to the artists. The other half go to local art school teachers. Wow. This year, we're going to break $50,000 to local art school teachers. Wow. Got the workshops up and running, launched the artist retreat. This is our 11th year now. Everything is kind of in space, and we're looking about how do we go deeper here. But all of it is in service to supporting the artist, because we know when the artists are happy and healthy and nurtured, it's good for everybody. And why artists, their job is to find fresh language for the human experience every day. Mm. We are in a time where language seems to be failing us. It's turning into rhetoric. And maybe through dance or through a poem or through a song, we can reorient ourselves to the hard stuff. And of course, you put beauty on the top of that, and you've got something really powerful happening.
Wow, extraordinary. How do you articulate the mission of the artist retreats and your nonprofit? Like, what is ultimately the goal, would you say, there?
Our mission is to host inspiring spaces for artists to perform, teach, and work in a natural environment.
Okay.
And our mission, again, which is all focused on the artist, we don't reference our audiences.
Sure.
Our vision, our hope as a result of that is to heal and reweave our broken communities back together again. we're in a really interesting spot. We're 1 hour basically directly east of the Twin Cities. We're an hour west of some larger cities in Wisconsin. And so our audience is a very diverse mix of urban and rural, all ages, all beliefs. And I think many of our audience members would never speak to each other on Facebook.
Yeah.
And yet here we all are in
Yeah.
the barn together, picnicking together, and experiencing some incredible beauty together. We have witnessed over this last decade some real healing, truly, and some new maybe uncommon relationships that have come out of it as this has become a new community. And the reality is none of us are cardboard cutouts.
Sure.
And I think social media and the rest may want us to believe that we're one dimensional, that I'm defined by one thing.
Yeah.
And we're not. And so we're all in the barn together, face to face. And how powerful is that for healing?
Is there an example that stands out of one of these transformations, one of these changes that has come about because of beauty that you were able to catalyze?
Yes, I will offer one story. We had an incredibly remarkable Cuban jazz and classical pianist here named Nachito Herrera. He lives with his family in Minneapolis now, is co-owner of one of our larger jazz clubs. And he was discovered as a kid in Cuba playing a major Rachmaninoff piano concerto and was brought to the States. He's an extraordinary talent. He's played at Carnegie Hall and Lincoln Center and somehow said yes to come play in our barn on our, at the time, questionable grand piano.
Okay.
So Nachito is here. That week in particular, there was the shooting in El Paso that Monday, the week before in Texas. It was heartbreaking. That whole week, Bill and I talked about just how heavy our hearts were as the news stories kept coming in. And that Friday, we were driving to the farm from the cities, and there was an NPR piece about the impact of this on that community and those families. And we were both in tears. This was fairly early on. And we had a great discussion about the nature of this community in this barn, that if this is a sacred space, is this a space to take this on? Or is this a space that people come to get away from it, to see something and experience something different? And we chewed on that for about 24 hours and came to the conclusion that this actually is the space to take it on, but maybe take it on in a different way. Before every performance, I do a little experience design. If our mission and vision is about reweaving us back together, you can't go up and say, "Hi, my name is Chris. Our mission is and our vision is." We need to experience it. It's that transformational thing. And so I will do a little experience design before every show, not only to get everybody present because we are a listening room, but to remember what friend, neighbor, colleague feels like again. And so how do we navigate this without, again, dividing?
Yeah.
And so welcome to Everwood. We're so happy you're here. I have to be really honest. This has been a hard week. My heart is just hurting for what happened on Monday. Are you feeling the same? A lot of heads were nodding. And I said, I have a question for you. And that is, what do you need from Everwood tonight? Do you need camaraderie? Do you need cookies, sweetness, nature, friendship, a hand on the shoulder? What do you need tonight? And had everybody quiet for a moment thinking about it. I said, beautiful. Would you turn to the person sitting next to you and let them know what you need? And so everybody shares. I bring them back. Perfect. We're going to have an intermission in 90 minutes. Would you find that person and make sure they're getting what they need? So this sets a stage now for Nachito to come. And the point being, we didn't talk about guns. We didn't talk about why we were sad or upset, but just that we are all feeling unease right now And what do we do as a community? We look out for each other.
Yeah.
You tell me what you need, and I'll just make sure, I've got my eye on you. That's what community feels like. Nachito, who told us afterwards, he said, that set me up in a completely different way. He had a whole set list of what it was he wanted to do. And everybody was like leaning in. And he said, I thought, I'm going to experiment with something. And he just started playing, and everybody was with him. He threw out the set list, and he went in a completely different direction than he thought he was going to go. He ends the evening by saying, I feel like I can tell my immigration story, and I want to share it with you. And he talked about how he came to the States. He fell in love with the United States. He was going to bring his family here, and 9/11 happened, and everything was shut down. He was separated from his wife and his kids for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And they finally came. And he talked about how difficult that was, but how determined he was going to use his music as a way to heal. And he said, I love this country, and I am so grateful to be here with my wife and my family, and I will do everything that I can to give to this country and this community. And then he did an improv version of God Bless America.
Wow.
That was sweeping and gorgeous, and there was not a dry eye in the entire place. There is someone that I know in the audience who has, very kind of far right, rigid beliefs, who was in the barn, got to experience this whole thing. And I had my eye on him, and I'm like, I'm wondering how this is being received. Afterwards, he was the first person to shake Nachito's hand and say, thank you. I am so happy to know your story. So I feel like the beauty and the intention and the sacredness healed several kind of things in that moment, including Nachito and his ability to fully bring himself and his story to the moment, and how that moved everyone.
Beauty at Work is brought to you by Templeton Religion Trust. If you enjoyed this clip, go check out the full episode. And please take a moment to subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps get the word out about the show. Thanks, and see you next time.